Back in 2017, Rajon Rondo was on the New Orleans Pelicans, and in a game against the Brooklyn Nets, he recorded the confusing stat line of just 2 points, 7 rebounds, and 25 assists, which is a very unusual stat line that you don't see every day. And that's exactly what we're looking at in today's video, all of which have occurred within the last 5 years or so. Now, this was in the later half of Rajon's career, and he was never a big-time scorer, but come on, what is this? I guess that's just what happens when playing alongside both Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins. Rondo really excelled at playing with big guys like AD, so giving him 2 of them at the same time meant it was game over. But he played with them all season long and only averaged 8 assists a game, which made this one night that much more out of the ordinary. You just didn't expect to see him have a game like this that late into his career. A very similar situation played out with Dwight Howard when he was oddly enough also playing a game against the Brooklyn Nets and in 34 minutes recorded 32 points and 30 rebounds. And a 30-30 game is definitely something you don't see every day. But the wild part about it was that it was from 2018 while Dwight was on the Hornets. At first thought, Dwight having a 30-30 game would have been perfectly believable back in his Orlando Magic days. But for this to have happened in Charlotte in the later part of his career was something a lot of people weren't expecting to see. Now, back in 2022, Desmond Bane had a night that he would probably want to forget. But thanks to the stat line at the end of it, he probably will never be able to forget this one. Because in this game, Desmond Bane shot 22.2% from the field, while having 2 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers, and committing 2 personal fouls, while also doing so wearing the number 22 on the date of 2/2/22. I don't know what conspiracy a night like this would be linked to, or how this could mean we're living in a simulation, but I'm starting to have some concerns, because this is definitely something you don't see every day. And while all these number 2s are flying around, we might as well bring up the night James Harden only made 2 field goals. And for Rockets James Harden, that was a strange enough thing already. But if you keep going down the stat line, it gets worse when you see that he still had 27 points that night, 2 made shots, and 27 total points. Of course, this happened because he was doing what prime James Harden did and getting free throws. He went 22 of 25 from the foul line that night. And on the night, he was officially 2 of 9 from the field. But it wasn't like he wasn't shooting the ball. He was shooting a lot. He was just getting fouled every single time he did it. Which, if you actually watched this one, it wasn't too much out of the ordinary for him. It was just the stat sheet at the end that looked weird. The year of 2021 brought us a completely opposite stat line from Jamal Murray, who scored 50 points. But the thing about it was that he did it without attempting a single free throw. And this doesn't happen often. And well, it's never happened because this was the only game like it in NBA history. It was the most points ever without a free throw. Jamal went 21 of 25 from the field, including an extremely efficient 8 of 10 from 3. If the game plan from the Cleveland Cavaliers was to commit no fouls on Jamal Murray to prevent sending him to the free throw line, then the plan was successful. All it cost them was the game and ending up on the wrong side of NBA history. Ironically enough, Grant Williams knows all too well about not making shots because the start to his career was rough. Now, of course, coming into the league, he was a late first-round pick, and not much was expected of him right away. But like every NBA player, he's got to make his shots, especially the wide-open ones. But instead, Grant Williams went 0 of 25 on 3-point attempts to start his career. And if that doesn't seem like much, well, he was taking about 1 3-point attempt a game, which meant that it took him about 25 games to actually make a single 3 go in. Williams was coming off the bench and couldn't have gotten any better looks. But it seems like he just had rookie nerves because, well, ever since then, he's been crushing it, shooting just about 40% from deep every single year. But everyone goes on stretches of missing 3s, it's not just rookies. Just ask Eric Gordon and Brook Lopez, because they both hold the single game record for most 3s attempted in a game without a make, when both men went 0 of 12 from 3 on separate nights. Lopez had established himself as a spot-up shooter on the Milwaukee Bucks, as the guy that would stand out on the 3-point line while Giannis would drive and get him open looks. And open or not, nothing was falling, so unsurprisingly, Milwaukee lost this game. As for Eric Gordon, well, he set his all-time record just 2 years later, and seeing that he was playing for the Houston Rockets at the time, it really wasn't that surprising. Now, you don't always need a 3 to go in to have a good or even a great night. Just ask LaMarcus Aldridge, because in a 2019 double overtime game against the OKC Thunder, LaMarcus put up a stat line of 56 points on 20 of 33 from the field, a perfect 16 of 16 from the free throw line, and had 0 3-pointers. It's not too often you see a 50-point game without a 3, and this may be one of the last we see for a very long time, considering that LaMarcus was one of the last All-Stars whose game didn't really rely on a 3-point shot, while now it's kind kind of expected. And the even crazier thing about this night is sure, LA didn't take a single three, but the San Antonio Spurs as a whole still set a 3-point record on that night when the Spurs went 10 of 10 from 3 in the first half and finished the game 16 of 19, which is 84%, giving them the best 3-point shooting night in NBA history. It's weird how both of these took place on the same night, but I guess it was just because they took no bad shots. And it's even weirder how you can have such an amazing game without taking any shots at all. Just ask Andrew Bogut. You see, the highest plus minus for a single player in a game in NBA history was plus 57 set by Luka Mbah a Moute, which is insane. It came in a 30-point blowout win for the Rockets over the Nuggets. And we'll use that for reference. So back in 2015, the Warriors had a game against the Phoenix Suns. They won that game by 25 points. Well, Andrew Bogut finished that night with a plus minus of plus 42, and here was his stat line: 12 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 0 points, 0 field goals, and 0 3-pointers attempted. He was plus 42 on the night without even attempting a single shot. It just goes to show that certain players in certain situations really don't have to score to affect the game, especially when playing with the 2 greatest shooters of all time. And of course, we couldn't be looking at unusual stat lines without a Draymond Green appearance. He's grown notorious from having some of the weirdest games of all times in all different types of ways. And this night, 2 years ago, was the perfect example, when Green had 2 points, 6 rebounds, 15 assists, 6 steals, and 4 blocks, to go along with 7 turnovers and 5 fouls. The man was all over the court that night, you know, except for scoring, because he only went 0 of 2 from the field, 0 of 1 from 3, and 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He had all of these stats and only took 2 shot attempts. This game pretty perfectly describes who Draymond Green is. And that's one way to quickly fill the stat sheet, but in recent years, nobody's done that better than Nikola Jokic. And a perfect example was by this stat line that you don't see every day, with him recording 40 points, 27 rebounds, and 10 assists. And the crazy part is that Jokic has been having games like this multiple times a year, every year for the past 4 or 5 seasons now. Now that the Nuggets have a real championship team with great offense and defense, it's easy for them to get stops so he can get rebounds and for his teammates to make shots so he can get assists. On his end, the talent's always been there. He just needed to have the right team around him so he can have big nights like this. And this is without a doubt one of the most productive games of all time. We don't only see productive games from superstars though, which is what made this next one so odd. Because in 2018, Hassan Whiteside gave us a near historic game of his own. You see, in 2015 and 16, Hassan was breaking out for the Heat and becoming what looked like their next star player. But by 2018, his hype was starting to die out, and he was now averaging 14 points, 1.7 blocks, and 11 rebounds a game, which was why this night in particular took the whole league by surprise when he came out and put up 29 points, 20 rebounds, 9 blocks, and 2 assists. He nearly doubled all of his season averages in one game, and by this point he was on the edge of being a role player, so it was that much more surprising to see. The triple-double with blocks would have been nice, but he got 9, so you can only ask for so much. And for as much as today's superstars make plays and hold on to the ball, some of those big games come with a lot of turnovers. Just ask Russell Westbrook, because he's had 6 triple-doubles where he scored 20 points, recorded 10 rebounds, 10 assists, and 10 turnovers. That's the most in the current NBA, and I can't say it's surprising for him or James Harden either, who has 3 of these games. The surprising part does come to see that LeBron has had one of these games, Giannis had one, Jokic has had 2, and even Blake Griffin had one of his own too somehow. What was the weirdest stat line you heard today, or what was the weirdest one in the current NBA that I may have missed? Comment down below and let me know, and I'll catch you next video.